Hi everybody, Christine Thayers, Coldwell Banker, coming to you today for Secret Family Recipe episode number 13. Lucky number 13 makes you guys really lucky because I know it's Father's Day and I know you're celebrating, and that's why this recipe is significant to today, because it's a special treat. Not everybody will do this much preparation before the actual holiday, right? It's a barbecue day and we're doing that. But in all Italian households, we usually cook inside and turn on the grill, toast marshmallows. But this time my husband's doing the steak, I'm doing the rice balls. Yep, that's it. You're getting arancinis, one of Sicily's most popular dishes. It dates back to, rumor has it, the 10th century. And it was known to be a great travel food so that you could go along and take a rice ball with you. It was packed, it was a full meal, it was filling, and it had all the food groups, which is really important. Whoops, let's put the hair tie on. We're trying to keep, we'll get the premature gray, and it's premature to the time I felt like turning gray. But anyway, that said, I pre-cooked 1.5 cups of rice. Now, for the full recipe, I would be using 3 cups of rice. But in this case, I've already got a lot cooked. So I made the rice with salt for flavoring, of course. This is 1.5 pounds, and it's nice and hot, right? So we're taking the rice out, spread it. I'm putting on 3/4 of a stick of butter into there. Maybe a little aggressive, but I used a whole, well, you know what, I'm gonna take 2 tablespoons off, probably, or maybe 1, because I used a full stick for 3 pounds, so maybe I'm being a little aggressive here. I'm gonna take 1 out. Okay, we're gonna take, so let's call it 1/2 of a stick of butter to 1.5 pounds of the rice, and I'm melting that in. I have my oil heating in the meantime. I'm going to throw my onions in my extra virgin olive oil, my deep skillet, right? 1 medium onion. I have to skip around because I know you have things to do, places to go, barbecues, right? All that for Father's Day. So I'm going to be skipping around. Now, sauteing the onions on a medium to high heat, so that they get good and warm. I have other pans here because we're cooking today, right? Okay. Actually gonna make that a little higher. Let's get that going. So the butter is melting in here nicely in this hot rice. And now I'm going to add 2 eggs. I'm going to take out from this one, just for the sake of the reduced recipe, a little portion of it. I tried to get as much white of the egg as possible and not as much of the yellow yolk. You could use egg whites if you'd like. And you can also use the full. So I'm going to whisk these eggs just a little bit. And I'm going to pour that into the rice as well. Now, I know Grandma Rose isn't here. Let's not talk about it. She was very tired, so she wanted to rest. It takes her a little time to get her engines rolling. So she decided to gracefully step out for today. Okay, so now you see how this looks nice and yellow. Ugh. It's good, it's good. Again, this is by choice. A lot of people add different things to this. In the Sicilian, this comes mostly from an area of Palermo, really. Palermo is where my family originated, Palermo, Sicily. And they sometimes add Spanish saffron into this. Some will make it with spinach, some will make it with gorgonzola. It depends, and you can have without the meat. This is the meat recipe. That's how my family enjoyed it. So we really prefer it this way. It feels like a hearty meal, and like I say, it's all the food groups, so you really Here we go. The onions are doing nicely. Now in here, I'm going to add, this is about half a cup of Locatelli grated cheese. Again, see I didn't add the whole thing, so it's kind of a by eye thing, but you don't even have to add the cheese. It's even an extra, because there is a cheese in the meat portion. Now if you remember from our first week, I think it was our first week, the lasagna, Grandma Rose's lasagna, focacceria lasagna, I think we called it. And that's because at the focacceria, where you can also buy rice balls, that meat mixture is signature. Okay, now, once you have all of this mixed, this has to get cold, very cold. So you can cover it, but don't cover it with plastic now because too much water will get inside, and water is not good when you're making rice balls. You want it nice and cold and dry. So we're going to take this, set it aside. Here we go. Thank you, my assistant. And then we'll pay attention to our meat mixture now. The onions look nice and clear the way they're supposed to. And as you guys know, we push everything to the side, put the new ingredient in the center. This is about 1.5 pounds of ground prime beef. Making sure we always use the best ingredients. Putting this in together with the onions. So Grandma Rose, she gotta reduce this heat real quick, because you don't want the meat to start sticking to the bottom, okay? Grandma Rose used to make rice balls when we were growing up. This was a very special meal. We only made it probably 2-3 times a year, maybe 4, because it was a little bit of work. And the good news is you can prepare your rice and your meat mixture the night before and then put your rice balls together the next day. That makes it so much easier. So, and they have to get cold anyway. The meat should be cold, the rice should be cold. Cold is important. And then once you put the rice balls together, they should stay cold. So I've got it all ready for you. Okay, our meat is now mixed in, slightly browned, right? Slightly browned, not all the way. I'm going to show you. Okay. Now, I will have my pomodoro pelati that we squished, or you can use the immersion blender in this, but I urge you to not use crushed or any kind of pre-prepared tomato, because it just gets watery. They even look different. So I always count by pasta spoons. So 1.5 pounds. 1, 2, 3. Again, 4 by eye is great. I'm gonna look at that. So can I write that in the recipe? 5 pasta spoons. I'm going to turn it and see what it looks like. And when I put my extra virgin olive oil in here, I didn't use a lot. I barely lined the bottom. And the reason is because you don't want it to have a lot of liquid. I kind of even drain the liquid out, or, kind of scoop it out from the top when it gets cold. And you just want it dry. And so look, I think that was enough tomato. I want to see the tomato, but this is not a sauce by any means. This is a meat mixture. Okay? I'm going to show you that. See, that's about how much tomato. So, I like that. And that now I'm going to change, because it's gotten colder, I'm going to change that to medium heat. And we don't cover it because we do want it to cook out a little bit. Okay, so now, on this portion, I'm going to show you, in a minute I'm going to show you the last 2 things. Please. So I'm going to show you the last 2 things that we need.
1, 2.
1. And I'm going to show you the last 2 things that we need in the meat mixture when that meat mixture is ready. But in the meantime, I can show you what we've done, what I have prepared for you, and what you can do at this point once all that's done. So here's my cold rice. It's all ready. Baking sheet, I need then on a baking sheet, you're gonna cover it with some parchment paper. It's underneath the other one. My assistant. Supposed to be enjoying Father's Day, and he's working. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was underneath the other. It's underneath that. Okay. So, this is what we need for our rice balls. The cold rice, first in line here, the meat mixture. This is the meat mixture completed and cold. Okay. Egg whites for the around it. That's warm enough. That's gotten cooked enough, so we're going to lower it. And you see how we have some liquid at the top? I want that to cook out. And then we have some breadcrumb. I take a baking sheet, I cover it with parchment paper. This is where my rice balls will get placed. I want you to be able to see everything. Okay. So I'm putting this here covered. So once I got my cold rice, and let's see, I have my cold meat. I am going to begin. Now I'm going to be washing my hands constantly because the idea is once I put the rice in my hands, then the meat, wipe it with the egg white and then breadcrumb. I don't want the rice to be getting into the breadcrumb, so I'm careful about that. Okay, let's give this meat one more toss. And it looks good. It's cooking beautifully. It's just the idea to get the water out of it, and then I let it cool off. So at this point, I'm going to add the frozen peas. You know we love peas in this family. Sprinkling it on. I will tell you the measurements in the recipe. Whoop. Okay. And now we mix those in. You know peas don't have to be cooked when they're frozen. They just have to be warmed. So we'll mix this in. Leave it on. It's on a low heat. Not too low, but low. Okay. There we go. Let that warm up. Okay. Now we're going to make the rice balls. So, take this rice. It's nice and cold and packed. I make a little ball to get it hard, and I push it down with my hand to make a scoop. Okay? I'm going to place the meat mixture, about 2 tablespoons of the meat mixture. And then I'm going to take some rice in my hand, make a ball, push my thumb into it to make a space. And then start creating that shape of the rice ball. If you see something popping out, push it back in. Some rice in there. And I'm pressing, but I'm not smushing. I'm pressing hard. Now, the dog is catching all the rice that's falling. See, I'm trying to take the rice off my hands because I try so much to not get extra rice in the breadcrumb. Because then the breadcrumb won't stick and it starts to become a little bit difficult. Okay. Taking my egg wash, white, and brushing it on to the rice ball. Oh, so my mom made these rice balls when we were growing up. It was a big thing. It was a special treat when she made the rice balls. And my brother's friend, Billy Miola, would come. Rose, you making the rice balls? And she was, yes. she was making the rice balls, he was very excited. He was sure to come over that day. And he didn't like peas. So what did she do? She made a whole batch just for Billy without the peas. Everyone loved Grandma Rose's rice balls. My friend Richard, he loved the rice balls too, with the peas. So she'd have the section with the peas, the section without the peas, and everybody was happy. Okay, so here's one, all ready. Okay, so as soon as I get all my, I'm gonna make one more, watch me now. Making that ball in my hand, pushing it, pressing it in. So all that excess, it's okay, because that's what's gonna fold around the side. If it falls off, you add more. All right. Okay, and again, let's see, no mixing of the ingredients. Pushing that in with my thumb, making it round. Have some guts popping out. There we go. Putting it in. So yeah, I think I told you before, like my mom would pick us up from school and we'd go to the focacceria, which is where this comes from. Focacerias in Brooklyn, New York, wherever, that Sicilian owners from a long time ago opened up when they brought their cuisine here to the United States. And this was a special treat to get rice bowls at lunchtime, but they were never the same. As she would say, it's not as good as mine. And it wasn't. So we're washing with the egg wash. And this is so that the breadcrumbs stick. Oh, the breadcrumbs should be really good breadcrumbs, fresh from a bakery. Like we get these from Corrado's. And also, my final ingredient in that meat mixture, which I'm not going to add in while you're watching, and I'll tell you the reason why. So here's my egg wash. Now I'm putting it into the breadcrumb, and I'm kind of sprinkling the breadcrumbs on the top. I don't want to manipulate the rice bowl too much. Ideally, I want it to stay together. And then in between, I wash my hands because I have rice on them, and I don't want the rice inside of the breadcrumbs if I can avoid it. So I continuously rinse. If Grandma Rose was here, she would be so unhappy because she doesn't wash in between. It's like everything in the kitchen has breadcrumbs and there's frying oil, and she fries them on the stove with 2 forks. Of course. I, of course, use a deep fryer outside, so you're gonna travel with me, but for now, we're done with this, okay? What I add in lastly to this meat mixture after it's cooked, which I think now, let me see. I don't want to shut it too soon because we all know ground beef has to really cook. It looks incredible. Oh, so let's do our salt and pepper. Let's do our salt and pepper. What happened to my salt and pepper?
There you go.
Okay. Salt and pepper. First. And of course I salted the rice, as you know. There you go. Yeah, this looks good. I'm going to turn this off. But the thing that has to happen is it has to cool a little bit. I would put this in another bowl or what have you, like I did here. And then I would add my incredibly delicious Caciocavallo cheese, okay? It's a sharp, delicious cheese, which we got from Corrado's, another plug for Corrado's. The quality of it, unmatched. It is soft, it is sharp, it's so delicious and buttery, it melts in your mouth. It's a taste like no other. So at the end, as you can see, I toss in a good amount of a Caciocavallo. I want at least 3 or 4 chunks of this. Chunks. How do I get chunks? Take the cheese, I cut some squares, right? Put it in the food processor, and I kind of turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. I don't want it grated, I want it chunky. When you bite into that and you taste it, it's crazy. Okay, so we're done with this. Let's take our 2. I'm gonna take you with me. I'm gonna hand you off, and we are going to put these into the oil. Well, hit that X, this X. There we go. Okay, Let's go. Ready? You don't have me. My assistant. I do it out here, okay? Why? Because it's cleaner. So we have a deep fryer with canola oil or corn. I'm putting in the 2 rice bowls. Now normally I would make these cold, right? But I'm going to go ahead, lower them in, presto. And these are going to cook. It takes what? 2 minutes?
No, 5.
Okay, 5. Let's go back inside. Isn't it nice out? I know. Your finished ones.
Right there.
Ah, I'm an Asian plate. This is my Asian plate. Okay. And here's your finished product. I'm going to cut one for you so you can see. You must be very jealous, and you should be. Let's see. You cut them open like this. Some people just eat them with their hands then. What's that? No, tip it down. There you go. Look at that. I'm not going to eat it in front of you. All right, I'll eat it in front of you. It's really good. Okay. I will post the recipe for you. I hope you have the best Father's Day. Welcome to the Secret Family recipe for arancini rice bowls. And we'll see you next week. Remember, there's no place like home.